if your heart turns away and you will not hear, but are drawn away to worship other gods. How many of you hear this? Drawn away. In other words, you are believing something contrary to what God has said. How many of you know the trick of the devil is to always get you to believe something contrary to what you already know? I remember as a young teenager, my mother told me some very deliberate things. She used to tell me, don't hang with them boys down there. Don't do this. Don't smoke that. Don't drink that. And then you'll find yourself starting to drink on little wine coolers. Then you go from wine coolers to drinking a little Boom Spawn. Then you go from Boom Spawn to drinking some Mad Dog 2020. Then you go from the Mad Dog 2020, then you start moving on to other different little wines. And next thing you know, you done got your a whole liter of Erkin Jerk, easy, we used to call it E&J, bourbon. Next thing you know, you're drinking Smirnoff vodka. Next thing you know, you're drinking, and next thing you know, you just caught up in it.
Right, right.
Next thing you know, you up in the club, and you just get a party over here. And your mama told you, don't go down there with them folks. It's a gradual. See, don't think that sin is sudden. Satan is too clever and he's too crafty to just kill you suddenly. He wants to draw it out of you so that as he draws it out of you, you become more and more seduced to his way. In this text, he says, but if your heart turns away and you do not hear, he says, but are drawn away to worship other gods. You just don't go from worshiping God, the God of creation one day and just jump right into worshiping it. No, you're drawn away. There's a process. And Balaam, who was this priest that was out to trick them, he knew it. He says, well, I can't curse these people. But what you do is you give them the women of the land. And the women will cause them to turn away from God. See, the devil is tricky. He said, if you give them the women, and the women worship Baal, and the women worship Ashtaroth, and the women worship Dagon, and the Philistine gods, and the women will eventually seduce them, just like they did Samson. And next thing you know, you'll find yourself just turning it all over, but are drawn away to worship other gods and serve them. I declare to you today that you shall surely perish. So here it is. He says, if you make the wrong decisions when you go into this land, he says, you shall surely perish.